Let's make history.
Everybody wants to represent their race. But when you go deep into the history, you realize race is something that was just made up only a couple hundred years ago. Where did this whole race shit start anyway? How did we start grouping ourselves by color? The idea of classifying human beings by color didn't come about to the late 1700s by a German anthropologist named Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. And he did this by examining and analyzing about 60 skulls. And he classified human beings into the great five races, which were Ethiopian, which later became Negroid, and this is also known as Sub-Saharan African, which are basically black people. Back in the day, most of Africa was referred to as Ethiopia. Now, that's not what the name the natives gave it, but it was a Greek name, and that's how it was called for many years. Then you have Malayan, which are Polynesian. Now that he considered the brown race, which now some people call Latinos the brown race, but originally it was the Malayans, which the Polynesians were the brown race. Mexicans and Latinos are really mixed. Mulattoes, mestizos, Puerto Ricans, and Dominicans, which are like varying degrees of Native Americans mixed with Spaniards, mixed with Africans. Then you had the Mongoloid, which are the Far East Asians. That's the yellow race, as he classified it. The Far East Asians, Chinese, Japanese, etc. Then you had Caucasian, the white race, Europeans. And then finally you had the American, which is the red man, which are the indigenous Native Americans. Before this, again, human beings, since the beginning, tens of thousands, some even say millions of years ago, we classified ourselves via tribal lineage, ancestry, nationality, and basically ethnicity. It wasn't until recently we started identifying with these colors based on scientists in the late 1700s, which wasn't a bad thing. Now, mind you, they were racist, but not in a derogatory sense. It's like the word racism even got a bad name because originally it was not a bad thing. All it was coming up with a system of classification to group human beings in this new way. It was still something that it was like a loose classification, because he stated how there are actually more similarities between certain Africans and certain Europeans than certain Africans have with each other. Like, there's certain groups of Africans that are tall. There's certain groups of Africans, like the pygmies, who are short. So there's more differences between those two sets of Africans, though they're both black, than there is between one of them and some other race. He was not a bigot. He distinctly said that all races have the same capacity. And that all depends on how well they're going to do, all depends on a whole host of factors. But he distinctly said that he did not consider Africans inferior to any of the other races. And there's actually a song that talks about this, KRS-One, which is basically Boogie Down Productions, which was the group he was in at the time, but he was the solo artist. You Must Learn, the remix. Check it out. And these studies have been used to make racism an evil force in the world by both blacks, whites, by everybody, really. You have racism in every race. You know, even Indians practice racism. Gandhi was a known racist. Many people don't know that. India has their caste system. You know, you have the Nation of Islam on the black side. That's why Malcolm X left. Because when he went to do his pilgrimage in Mecca, he saw that Muslims came in all colors. There was even Muslims with blonde hair and blue eyes. So that's one of the many reasons why he left. You have Arabs that are racist. You have Hispanics that are racist. There's nowhere you can go and not find racism.